at Slice of Disney, this is Michelle again. I'm just doing a little follow-up to my original pin video. Some of you have given me some comments about, hey, you have a lot of pins, is that all you have? Or do you have any other pins? Or what's your earliest pin? So what I did was I did a little search and found that I had another whole box of pins. And these are actually earlier pins than what I originally shared. So what I'm gonna do is do something a little different. I'm gonna combine some of my older pins in my collection with some of the newer ones and kind of give you a history of the pins I've collected over the years. Now, not that I want to date myself, but some of my pins are going back to probably the 70s, which is pretty ancient. But anyway, I wanted to share what I have with you and what I discovered in a box in the closet. And I thought it would be pretty interesting, and I hope you find it interesting too. Okay, everybody, so we're going to start off with some of the attraction pins. Now, as you can see, back in the earlier days, they used buttons. So some of these are buttons that I collected long before they got those really elaborate pins that you see in the parks now. So for example, here's the button I originally got when Indiana Jones opened. And then as you can see, they've evolved a bit more. Here's another pin I got for Indiana Jones. And there's another one for Indiana Jones. And here's another one for Indiana Jones. Now, kind of keeping that same theme, here's a pin or a button I got for the 30th anniversary of Space Mountain. I believe they just celebrated their 40th, and unfortunately I wasn't there to get a pin for that, but I had the one for the 30th. And then, of course, here's one of the more updated buttons for Space Mountain. This pin is what I picked up, I think, when they launched the new Tomorrowland. I don't remember if that was in the 80s or the 90s, but they kind of remodeled Tomorrowland and relaunched it, so I picked that button up too. Now here's one that's really old, Captain EO. When Captain EO first opened, this was the button that they were selling. So I got that. And then, of course, here's a more modern pin with the picture of Michael Jackson and the characters. Here's a button I got for Star Tours, pretty basic. And then here's the another pin I have for Star Tours. Now, here's a pin I picked up for around the first time that the Finding Nemo submarine voyage started. As you can see, that pin's in 2007. But here's a pin I picked up that was just reminiscent of the submarine before Nemo. Here's another pin for the opening day of Tomorrowland. Oh, there you go. There's the date, 1998. So that's when the new Tomorrowland launched. So I had gotten that button. And here's a button for Splash Mountain. Sorry about the glare here. Here's a button for Splash Mountain. And here's another pin I picked up for Splash Mountain. 35 years of magic. I don't think that Splash Mountain's been around for 35 years, has it? I don't know. But anyway, that's a Splash Mountain pin too. And then, of course, here's another one of the more current pin trader type pins. And here's another button. Pretty interesting, huh? Okay, this one I found, this is Videopolis, and this has nothing to do with an attraction, but I think going back to the 80s, where the Fantasyland Theater is that's showing Mickey and the Magical Map, Videopolis was like a dance club. I mean, there was lights and strobes and all kinds of special effects, and they always had some kind of a live band playing and people dancing. So, not that I was a dancer here, but still, I picked up a pin for Videopolis. And then Blast to the Past. I completely remember this, and I absolutely love going to Blast to the Past. I think this was also in the maybe late 80s, but this is where Disneyland transformed itself to be like the 50s to early 60s. They had a lot of musical artists from the era come and perform. For those of you that remember, there was like Frankie Avalon, Fabian, Bobby Rydell, Paul Revere and the Raiders, and a lot of those old bands and singers came and actually performed live. They also had bands that just played that era of music. They also had a really cool parade. So anyway, Blast of the Past was a lot of fun, and so I had to get a pin for that. Okay, so this section of my pin collection is kind of very nostalgic. I don't know what it is, but I was really a fan of Mickey Mouse Club. I'm too young to remember the 1955 version. At least I remember watching it in repeats, but I did not watch it live, thank you. but there was a 1977 version of the Mickey Mouse Club that I totally remember. I had the record album, I went to the parks and got to see the Mouseketeers in parade, and it was a lot of fun. So needless to say, I really feel very nostalgic about Mickey Mouse Club. So as you can see, this button I'm focusing on is my very first button. That's reminiscent of the Mickey Mouse Club, and I probably picked this up sometime in the probably mid to late 70s at the park. This button here is when Disney launched a new Mickey Mouse Club in the 90s. Of course, if any of you are familiar with that, some very popular artists of today came out of this Mickey Mouse Club. There was Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Ryan Gosling, Kerry Russell. So that Mickey Mouse Club really launched a lot of careers, that's for sure. This is just another Mickey Mouse Club pin that I picked up. And then this Mouseketeers pin. This one I thought was really cool. I'm going to lift this one up, and as you can see, it's like a TV, and it changes. So I thought that was really cool. And then, of course, a couple of pins just with the Mickey Mouse ears. Okay, so the next grouping, of course, Walt is the start of Disney, and Walt is very nostalgic as well. So anytime I see something very old-fashioned with Walt, I like to pick it up. But this pin happens to just be the original 1955 Disney. Okay, this one I'm going to pick up a little to show you. If you open it, excuse my hand, but if you open it, it has like Mickey with Walt, and then just kind of some pictures on the inside, which I thought was really cool. Of course, here's another pin with Walt, and another pin that's just kind of like the old Disneyland sign out front off of Harbor Boulevard. And then just more Disneyland, the original type pins. And if you watched my last video, you'll remember that I had pins resembling the tickets, and I thought that was extremely nostalgic because, of course, they don't do tickets anymore. But I'm going to open this one, and as you can see, it has the A, B, C, D, E tickets. And then I have this one where it shows how the tickets were expired. It's kind of hard to see this, but it has the date, I believe it's 1982. And then, of course, my incomplete but only memory of tickets I have some old tickets here, which is kind of cool. As you can see, the tickets left over are the ones that didn't have the best attractions, but you know, that's the way it was. And then I just recently had the privilege of going on the Walk in Walt's Footsteps tour. So this was a pin they gave us at the end of the tour, which I thought was absolutely a surprise. They gave us this postcard of Walt with this pin, which I think is awesome. And I'm going to open it for you. And it just has a quote from Walt, and it has his opening day speech. So I thought that was fascinating. So anyway, that made the collection too. So what did you think of that pin video I just shared with you? If you'd like to ask me any questions, please feel free. Just post your questions below and I'll make sure I answer everything. And I hope you enjoyed it. And thanks for tuning in, and always have a slice of Disney.